Hey y'all, welcome back to the Jesus Justice podcast. My name is Kaylee, and I hope you're enjoying this mini series. It's been a bit shorter episodes, but I think that it's been good, bite-sized nuggets for us to think about and to chew on while we are kind of doing self-assessments of our own walks with God and our own pursuit of justice. And, the first week we talked about why justice was so complicated, and last week we talked about why Christians sound so harsh. And today we're going to address the tension and the question of what are we actually fighting for? In our pursuit of justice, what are we doing? While it is complicated, I do believe deep down we all actually care. I think we do care about what is right and what is wrong. And I do believe that genuinely people want and are after justice. And I think that they are desiring change. I don't think any of that is wrong. I don't think wanting to right the wrongs is wrong. I think fighting for these things, again, it gets complicated. I think a lot of us are truly after the right things. We are just going about them the wrong way. Again, we have the greatest intentions at times, but somewhere along the way, we just have missed the mark. And what do I mean by that? I think in our pursuit of justice, we have become selfish. I think we care, but I think we care more about issues that directly correlate with us. Or if it's an issue that doesn't directly involve us, we attach ourselves to the cause because it's what's popular, it's what's trending. We'll get societal brownie points for taking a stand or for posting a black square. Because I think actually deep down, if we're honest, we care more about letting people know that we aren't racist or we aren't homophobic more than we actually care about fighting for the rights of those directly affected by racism or by homophobia. That's my honest, hot take here. So I want you to really be honest right now. Do you care more about how you are perceived, or do you actually care about helping people? Are you more concerned with being on the right side of history than actually fighting for what is right? We have to ask the hard questions. Do we care more about our image than the issue at hand? I'll be honest, I remember praying in 2020, while the entire United States was just in this racial uproar that it was experiencing. And I mean, we've always been experiencing it. I think everyone just decided to care and acknowledge it in 2020. But anyway, I was praying and I was telling God, all the things that I wanted, all the areas that I needed him to intervene, and telling him what was wrong with the world, the man didn't know himself what was going on. But I just kept going and going and going. And then suddenly, in the middle of my monologue prayer, God interrupted me. It was as if he tapped me on the shoulder and gently and quietly was like, "Sweet girl, shush. Have you thought to ask me what I want?" And she was too stunned to speak. I literally, in all of my thoughts and all of my rants and all of my posts and all of my phone calls and all of my texts at that time, I realized that I hadn't truly asked God what he wanted. I knew what I wanted, and I went after it. But I never stopped to ask God if that's what he wanted, or if that's what he wanted for me, or even how he wanted me to go about it. Because I was noble. I wanted justice. I wanted the wrongs to be right. And I know for a fact that God cares about justice because he is a just God. So yes, on paper, God and I wanted the same things. But the way I wanted it to come forth and the way that he wanted to come forth, it was completely different. And I think that this is actually very common. Not just in the justice space, but I think it's common with a lot of us, a lot of believers, because I've watched a lot of Christians who entered the justice space around the same time as me in 2020. They all started off really strong and really biblically sound and really on God's side. And then over time, their own agendas got in the way of everything. They started out biblical, but then their narrative shifted to more of a worldly justice. And I think the same can happen to us. Along the line, we can forget to ask God what we should do. We probably have forgotten to ask God, should we say something, or should we post this thing, or should we just pray? God, how would you like me to respond to this? We have to figure out what we're fighting for. Is it God's agenda or our own? Are we doing it to bring glory to God, or are we just wanting glory for ourselves? Because I don't think the problem is what we are fighting for, but it's how are we going about it and who are we doing it for? I think that's the better question. And that's the tension that only you or I can answer about ourselves. Because I think if we can get it right, if we can decenter ourselves and actually become selfless, it truly could be a start of a movement. I think justice will naturally follow us if we commit to being transformed into the likeness of Christ. And if we put our own feelings aside and we adopt God's heart for things. So what should we do moving forward? I think we should start by asking God before we do anything. Before we make any moves, I think you should ask God what that move should be. Just practice with little things, because if you can master the little things, when the big things come, it'll just be a habit that you've already built. So start building that habit. Ask him silly things like, what should you have for dinner tonight? Ask him how you should spend your time off this week. Ask him what you need to be prioritizing. I think you just need to get in the habit of asking and learning to listen. That's going to be key, the learning to listen and then putting it into action. I think another thing we could do is pause before posting. Not everything has to be immediate, and not everything needs a response. I think it's okay to sit on things. I think it's okay to send your responses to others first and let them filter it. All I know is that we cannot let our emotions or our feelings run the show here. And look, I am not anti-feelings or anti-emotions. I actually think that's one thing people misunderstand about me. I'm actually a very emotional person. I am all for the feels, but they cannot be in the driver's seat, especially in our pursuit of justice. So just pause, take a second, and just think about it. before you post about it. And lastly, I think we need to check our motives. What's the why behind the what here? Why are you interested in justice? Why are you so worked up over this situation or this cause? Why? If you can answer why, then it'll ensure that our motives are pure and genuine, or at least you can check if they are. We just have to make sure, again, that we are centering Jesus and decentering ourselves. If you can do that, if you can decenter yourself, it'll get your priorities back in check. We have to prioritize our relationship with God. When we do that, the more you love someone, the more you love what they love. So the more that we can love God, the more that we are going to be able to love people. The more that we are able to love God, the better we're going to be able to live out Micah 6:8, which is to act justly and love mercy and walk humbly with our God. But we can't do that if we're so self-centered that we can't even see, or we can't even fathom, or we've put God on the sideline. He has to be at the center of all that we do, or justice will continue to be complicated and Christians will continue to be harsh, and we're going to continue to ask the question, what are we even doing here? So I want to end with this. Let's center our lives around Jesus. Let's center our pursuit of justice around Jesus. Let's seek first the kingdom and its King. And then I truly believe justice will naturally follow us everywhere we go. Have a great week, y'all. Peace.